Psalm 119, Attachment Theory. Hi, my name is Brendan McNamara. I am going through the Psalms. I've been a Christian for 30 some odd years. Hopefully this is helpful to you if you've been a Christian for a long time, reading the Bible for a long time, or if you've never picked the Bible up. This should actually be more helpful to you because I wish I knew this before I started reading. I'm looking at Psalm 119. It's the longest psalm in the Bible. Sefer Tehillim is what the Hebrews call it. So it's the book of songs of praise. Praise means to rave, boast, or be clamorously foolish. I like to think of all of these things as rave songs, up-tempo songs, probably a lot of dance songs. Here in Psalm 119, every stanza in this long poem or song lyric set is marked by a letter of the Hebrew alphabet. So this week we are turning to the Vav stanza. Now, we would miss this if we didn't understand Hebrew, so I'm going to talk quite a bit about what we can understand from the Hebrew here to make this poem come alive in a way that we would miss otherwise through translation, right? Lost in translation. It's not just Bill Murray and Scarlett Johansson movie. Vav. Now, Vav can be used as an and, A-N-D, even an ampersand, but also so, as, or then. So, and blah, 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 meaning this and that, but then also this and therefore this next thing. It is looks kind of like a hook or a peg and many people believe it was perhaps initially a pictographic representation of a tent peg, so it kind of holds that which sustains us in place, our protection. Others have conjectured that it's the hook or peg that held the curtains of the tabernacle in place, which is fascinating. That's, in some ways, that which protects us then in that case, not merely from the elements, as a tent would, but that, and stabilizing our place of dwelling, but that protects us from the danger that is God, which permeates throughout this chapter if you hear it that way. It's pretty cool. So this is both aiding restriction, walls, right, and protection, walls. Okay. Vav is the most occurring verbal unit in the Bible. You should probably know that. Surprising because it often means and, so, then, so. I've said it multiple times myself. It is a stabilizer of sentences to the greatest degree of any word. When it's at the beginning of the words, it very much is a and this thing or and this resulting thing. But when it's placed at the end of a word, it makes the word itself possessive. So it really does operate as a hook, either to preceding language or language coming next. So look in this passage for connections related to protection, protection from God, God's provision, stability, and even like possessives, like what is mine, what is yours, what is theirs. Also look for things, and things, therefore things. The cool thing about Vav, already a lot of cool things, it's a letter shared across pagan and holy cultures. Egypt, Canaan used this letter first, and it pictographically is the same throughout all the languages. So that's pretty cool. Let's read it, and then we will break it down as poetry and beauty and meaning, semantics, as it were. More Semitic semantics. Semantics is, of course, the study of meaning, which can relate to words, but it literally just means anything that anything means, right? Meaning is more foundational than thought itself. In order for thoughts to be coherent, they have to have meaning. All expression is founded in meaning. So when you explore semantics, some people might wave that away. Ugh, that's semantics. It's more important than everything that we're saying. If we don't have shared meaning, then everything I'm saying is just truly word salad. It's just so meaning's important. Here we go. Let's read it. Let your mercies come also to me, O Lord, your salvation according to your word. So shall I have an answer for him who reproaches me. For I trust in your word, and take not the word of truth utterly out of my mouth. For I have hoped in your ordinances. So I shall keep your law continually, forever and ever. And I will walk at liberty, for I seek your precepts. I will speak of your testimonies also before kings, and will not be ashamed. And I will delight myself in your commandments, which I love. My hands also I will lift up to your commandments, which I love. And I will meditate on your statutes. It's braggadocious, right? I mean, honestly, maybe even just the way I ended up sort of reading it, there's some Maya Angelou in there even as well. Now, of course, almost all poetry in the Western world is going to be somewhat influenced by biblical language. So, chicken and egg thing there. But it's hard to feel the rhythm in it and the rhyme in it because we're not reading it in the original language. But you can feel the oomph of it and the momentum of it. I rise, I rise, I rise. So, but let's look at this. Check this out. So, 41. Let your mercies come also to me, O Lord. So the mercies can be here, the way the psalmist is describing it, can be munificent presence or adversarial absence, right? This echoes the tent walls or the tabernacle curtain walls. Tabernacle, sorry, I didn't contextualize that for anyone who doesn't know much about Christianity. The tabernacle in the Old Testament was the sort of dwelling, the temple, if you were, the portable church, if you want to think of it in the simplest sense, where God's high priests would work and God would literally appear in some sort of tangible, visible form once a year, sort of to celebrate and to make sacrifices to, and to celebrate the sort of forgiveness of all the people's sins. So here, the mercies, he's saying, let your mercies come also to me, O Lord, your salvation according to your word, means you're bringing your salvation because you said you would, according to your word. You're bringing your salvation by your word. According to your word, that's where my salvation comes from. For the psalmist, pre-Christ, obeying God's law was the way of staying in some ways, outside of the tabernacle, outside of the Holy of Holies. That's where God came and dwelled. And if you were unclean, then that presence would destroy you. So being saved from God's destruction by his own mercies, as well as being saved from external destruction, those outside your tent, by God. So a dangerous God is always part of the Bible, Old and New Testament. Actually, it doesn't make sense if you don't. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, the Bible says, and that fear also means like being genuinely frightened out. The way if you stumbled down a trail in the woods and there was a grizzly bear there and the baby was behind you. Scary stuff. So this sort of is pleading, let your saving of me be my answer via testimony. This models Moses pleading with God in Exodus 32. God's going to destroy all the people and he's like, Lord, you brought us out of Egypt. If you destroy us now, everyone's going to talk smack about you, essentially. So the psalmist here is echoing that. He's like, save me so I have an answer for him who reproaches me, him who comes against me. Like, I don't want him to be like, see, your God is not real, or B, your God hates you. You suck. Please, Lord, be merciful to me so I have a good reputation even before those who think less of me or think less of you, Lord. Which is kind of fascinating. Like, why would we even care about anybody who doesn't love the Lord in this context, right? Here we go again to, and take not the word of truth utterly out of my mouth, for I have hoped in your ordinances. This is saying, keep truth in my mouth, lest I forget it. There's an assumption of that, this sort of adage, that which one does not speak, one forgets. This echoes from the Old Testament to today, the Mishnah even. Mishnah means to learn by repetition or even just to repeat. It is absolutely essential for verbal, out loud declaration of who God is and what God has done for you. There is no, biblically, Old Testament or New Testament, there's no private religion that you don't talk about. You're supposed to teach it diligently to your children. You're supposed to speak it diligently wherever you go. You're supposed to meditate on it. And meditate in the Old Testament, this stanza concluded with that. Meditate means to speak or to muse or to complain. It doesn't mean to be silent like it does in our modern context. So that would be super confusing, right? If you were reading the Bible and didn't know that. I didn't know that for years. So Deuteronomy 6:7 repeats this point that I'm making. Teach them faithfully to your children. Speak of them in your home and on your way, when you lie down and when you rise up. This is not merely a good and helpful thing. This is a commandment. You have to speak. He who has ears to hear, let them hear, which is echoed in the New Testament, as a companion with he who has tongue to speak, let them speak, right? We're supposed to be speaking and listening. This is both with God and to others. Always kind of centered on this gratitude that this whole psalm is really obsessed with. So we have in 44, for I shall keep your law continually, forever and ever. This highlights an essential aspect of Christian life and certainly the Old Testament, which is continual and even eternal obedience is the goal. Perfection is the goal. Sin is anything that misses the bullseye. It's an archery and thrown spear sort of term, hamartia. It means to miss the mark. And the mark is a small one. So That is the goal of every Torah follower. That is the goal of every Christian. It says in the New Testament, even for you to be holy as I am holy. It's also translated, you are to be perfect as your Father in heaven is perfect. 45. And I will walk at liberty, for I seek your precepts. Liberty, even before those who could materially deprive me of it, those who reproach me in action and speech, is very much what's being activated here. And this is liberty from God's persecution. This is liberty from people's persecution from outside. And this is an internal liberty, because the psalmist has already spoken of like the ways in which he struggles to keep God's law. So this is an internal freedom as well that is mightily celebrated. The cicadas are celebrating it right now. All right, 47. And I will delight myself in your commandments, which I love. So delight is the word sha'a, which means to look upon, fondle, not joking, please, amuse, to look about, to stare, to gaze lovingly on while caressing. How cool is that? Hear that again. And I will fondle, gaze upon your commandments, which I love. I will delight myself. So I'm fondling, enjoying your commandments, Lord. Isn't that wild to think? I don't know. And again, I have an impulse to resist directive or order or commandment. But here the psalmist is saying, no, I celebrate. I love it. I relish it. It's fun. I had to move inside. I was sweating my face off and my phone started glitching out because of the heat. The little temperature gauge, that's not fun. But I am getting heated up. So the psalmist is fondling the commandments of God. That which I think many of us would receive as like imposition. The psalmist is engaging in like courtship embrace. And to continue that courtship, what happens next in 48 is, my hands also I will lift up to your commandments, which I love, and I will meditate on your statutes. The hands being lifted up, the words used specifically have to do with the palms of your hands. So it's an open-handed thing. I consider this a submissive gesture of courtship because open palms infers in Hebrew to receive that which comes from above is kind of in there. And then just a somatic honor gesture that, Lord, there's an acknowledgement, you are above me. Pretty cool. There's longing, desire, and petition in here. What we also notice in this sort of flirtatious, dare I say, language in here, this is steeped in possessives, right? I am yours, Lord. I'm yours and you are mine. And if we recall, the vav is a possessive, right? The hook, the means of attachment theory. Psalm 119, attachment theory. Amen. Selah.